And we are back with Julian.
Hello there.
So, if I was to tell you that Donald Trump and his team do SEO and they use PBNs, would you believe me?
I think there's only one way to find out.
There is only one way to find out. So, today we're going to be talking about like reputation management and kind of controlling a narrative. Some people also call it opinion sculpting. So, what I mean by that is, for example, if you want to sculpt people's opinion, let's say if you want people to think that Julian Goldie is quite a positive person, you can obviously do this by publishing loads of articles and ranking those articles. A few different scenarios is a lot of big companies do this to like up their stock value. So, for example, if they go and win an award, let's say, or if they are becoming eco-friendly, they'll write loads of articles about this. Have you seen this yourself by any chance?
Yeah, wasn't there that company that got into loads of trouble for it? Cambridge Analytica a few years ago?
Yeah.
Because of the whole Brexit situation, and they were kind of moulding people's opinions using this sort of stuff.
Yeah, so there's that's on the Facebook side, but there's also a very reputable brand in the UK, and they were like publicly listed, and they sell sex toys. And do you remember when the boats got stuck in the Suez Canal a couple of years ago? So a couple of years ago, like a big boat got stuck in the Suez Canal, and it basically stopped like loads of other boats behind it. And it's like the one way that a load of boats can go to like Europe and stuff, right? And basically what this one company done that sold sex toys is they published a load of articles saying that there's going to be a shortage of sex toys in Europe, and their stock value went up and everybody was buying dildos and all sorts of stuff, right? So that's basically what's called opinion sculpting. I know that's like, we went like a long way round, but Donald Trump does this as well, and so does Joe Biden. Any politician would do this, any big brand would do this. We probably do this at a very micro level, but for example, if we search Donald Trump Florida, right, and Florida's known to be like in some cases it can vote Democrat, in some cases it can vote Republic, so it's quite an important state for Donald Trump to win. And as you can see, a lot of the articles on page one, it's pretty positive, or it was as of last night, right? Like, for example, Trump classified documents case dismissed by judge. Florida judge dismisses classified case. All of it's basically saying the exact same thing. So it's quite a positive thing. He's kind of won back Florida. But then if you go on to like page 2, for example, I do have infinity scroll, but there is a little bit more of a negative stigma around them. So like, for example, on page 2, and this was published 1 day ago, by the way, it's actually mentioning that there is an appeal process happening, but obviously the marketing team behind Donald Trump, they want this far down the results as they possibly can. But let's take a look at some of the actual articles. So like this BBC article, right? If we actually run this through Ahrefs, as you can see, they are actually doing link building through it. They're doing tiered link building, and it's ranking for 2,200, or it's getting 2,200 traffic, 43 keywords it's ranking for. And if we take a look here, as you can see, there are a load of links. There was a couple PBNs in here that I saw as well, which is quite
some
funny.
Dodgy like Japanese links and that
yeah,
sort of
so
thing.
they're not like the best links, but it's enough to get it ranking above like all the negative stuff. So like this here, I'm fairly certain that this is a PBN. And it's basically been set up to like link to any right-wing articles and push them higher up on Google. So, for example, it's talking about like Senator Bob Mendez, right? And he is like a Democrat senator, and he's been found guilty in bribery. And then this links out to like loads of articles to do with him. So it's making the Republicans look good, but it's also making the Democrats look bad as well. So they've got like tons of these websites. Like if you actually start looking through, all the positive articles about Trump, you'll see that there is like a load of like, there's probably like hundreds of PBNs linking to all of these articles. There's also, on the other side to it, the Democrats do the same thing as well. So, for example, this is a little bit more of a negative article talking about Trump. And I believe this does have misleading.com linking through to it. And again, this is kind of more on the flip side, and this talks more positively about the Democrats. So you can see that both sides of the actual elections are using PBNs and link building and stuff like that. But what's your actual thoughts to it all? Like, would you have ever thought that Donald Trump would be using PBNs?
I think he's probably hired like a really smart SEO team, hasn't he? And I bet there's some agencies out there that just specialize in reputation management for politicians and that sort of thing. And so this is what they do day to day. Probably the same on Facebook and all sorts of social media as well. I'm sure they can like pay influencers, or they have social media accounts that can publish good news about these people too. But it's all about the reputation, isn't it? It's all about changing perceptions and keeping positive images of these people. That's what's making the money.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I don't know if you've been following Trump and stuff like that, but he also does like a lot of podcasts, and that could be seen as like kind of like influencer marketing. Like I think he done a podcast with like Logan Paul, for example, and the Nelk Boys, and he's also seen with Dana White a lot. And that is kind of like if you see like a politician with somebody that you like, let's say you quite like the UFC and Dana White, you would kind of think like, oh, okay, he's quite a cool guy, or you might think differently. But it's interesting that like politicians are doing this, and one of the main things, like what you said before, is like they are going to be spending a lot of money making certain that like anything negative is pushed down, and anything positive is pushed up, and then vice versa as well. Like if, say for example, you're the marketing department on the Democrat side, you want to be pushing negative things up about Donald Trump and pushing or positive things down. So it is kind of like a battle. But for example, another way of actually doing this as well. Like this is on a very big scale that we're talking about this. Like not everybody is a Donald Trump, not everybody is like a Joe Biden and stuff. But if we actually take a look at Google.com, Dyson reviews. You'll see that, like, for example, Dyson, they've got individual review pages, and that's kind of to push down, like, for example, their Trustpilot. It's not actually seen on, like, the first section here. Like, a lot of people would either click position 1, position 2, or position 3. But position 5 here, it's actually got 1.2 star reviews. And then you've obviously got reviews.io. This is on, like, page 2 now. So they are kind of like pushing down the negative reviews about them. So even at a much smaller scale, companies are doing this.
Crazy, isn't it? Like you can basically hide anything if you have the right technique.
Yeah, definitely. The thing is with this, I kind of call this like reputation management. That's all this is, right? Or opinion sculpting, depending on like how far up the spectrum you are. But every company does it, and it's not necessarily about getting the result removed from Google. It's kind of pushing the result down to page 2 or page 3, because like a commonly inside joke within the SEOs is where do you hide the dead body, and that's typically on page 2 of Google because nobody clicks past page 1. But even if we were to look at, like, for example, law firms New York, these guys would do it as well. So again, depending on if they have any negative reviews about them. But let's take a look at these. If you were to search reviews, and as you can see, pretty positive so far. You've got one that's 3 stars, you've got one that's 1 star. But again, all the positive stuff seems to be outranking the negative stuff. So again, even with the law firms, they're doing it. So it is interesting, to say the least. Is there anything else that you want to add?
Yeah, I think if you're an agency, you can charge like a lot of money for reputation management, right?
Yeah, we do it for a couple brands, and it's the thing is, it depends like who you are. Like if you're just Joe down the road and you're a plumber, you might not need this. This might be a little bit overkill. But if you're like a big brand, if you're an e-commerce store, you want to be making certain that everything online that's mentioning your brand and your business is positive around you. Because again, even if, like, let's say you're a law firm, right? If it's yourself and I don't know, so, like a competitor law firm, and you've got loads of 1-star reviews, and a client, a potential client's like checking your reviews, Julian Goldie lawyers, in comparison to Redmond Law, and Redmond Law all have 5-star reviews. When they search Redmond Law reviews, they're going to end up going with that other company. So yeah, you definitely want a positive narrative that's mentioning how great you are, who you are, what you do, and again, that's going to ultimately help you close more sales as well.
Yeah, 100%.
But thanks for joining me, Julian. Did you find the video interesting?
Definitely, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, to see how SEO goes way beyond the scope of just your typical niche site or affiliate site, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So that's been our video on online reputation management. If you guys do want help with this, make certain to check the link down below or head over to casualdash.com. Thanks.